Hello everyone, I think we can start. Is my voice too loud or? It's good, okay. Good to hear. Good to see that you have all attended the Paradox lecture for today. My name is Anna Norrevik and I work at Paradox Interactive as a project lead. It's my first time here at Castle Game Jam, by the way. So the agenda for today is that I'm going to go through who you are, who I am, the definition of a project lead, the potential fates in project management, how a project lead can increase efficiency. So as you see, I abbreviate project lead with PL in the whole presentation. The challenges for a project lead, potential frameworks for a project lead, and that means that I'm going to go through 3 ways of dealing with potential issues in communication and things that the project lead usually manages in the project. And then we're going to go to project leading at Paradox, which is also a big part of the presentation, and some last advices for you in your projects. And this presentation is both for you who are in projects that don't have project leads, and for you who are project leads, or, well, basically anyone. So, but it's going to be about the role as a project lead. So, to start with, since I haven't been here, I want to know a little bit more about you. How many of you work with game development full-time at the moment? Okay, most of you, right? And how many of you are in teams that are less than 3 people? And more than 10 people? Right, so it seems most of you are in between, right? Like 4 to 9 people, how many are you? It seems like it's quite equal. Good to know. How many of you have a dedicated project lead in your projects? Okay, about half of you. Right. And how many of your projects have been finished at any point in time? Right. So it seems half of you, but it was a bit hesitating. And of those, how many have been finished on deadline? Okay, 6 to 8 people. Oh, that's good, it's good. Good. I also see some faces that I recognize here in the audience. Anna and Theo, for example. Good to see you. So, who am I? My name is Anna. As I said, I'm a project lead at Paradox Interactive. I'm leading 2 teams which develop expansions for the games Europa Universalis 4 and Crusader Kings 2, which are grand strategy games, which is what the Paradox Development Studios is famous for. So our company is divided in a studio and a publishing part, and I will talk a little bit more about the games very soon. But I've been a project lead from university and onwards, leading different kinds of initiatives. For example, a big alumni party which we had at my school, which was the Stockholm School of Economics. And then, well, I like driving things forward. And I really like efficiency, psychology, and problem solving. That's why I'm a project lead. Here we are a couple of people at Paradox having a game jam. I think it's from last year or the year before. We haven't had that many game jams at Paradox, but when we had it was really fun. We were 2 teams making 2 different games. It wasn't that successful, I have to admit, but it was fun and we got to know each other better. And I'm back here. We made a 2D game, you know, really simple. We had 1 day to make it. I think we made it in Game Maker. Here we have Stellaris, our newly released game. How many of you have tried it? Okay, good. A third. Well, it's a grand strategy game in space, which is the first time we've tried to make something in space from Paradox Development Studios, and it has been received really successfully. But the games that we have been traditionally most famous for are Hero Brainer, Solid 4 and Crusader Kings 2, and all the other games in those franchises. And those are grand strategy games, which means that they are strategy games which are very complex, you know, they have a lot of different systems and they are map-based. So I would say EU4 is the more competitive one of those, and CK2 is playing with the RPG element a bit more. You have to get an heir, you have to marry someone, things like that, and a lot of intrigues. We also have a game called Victoria, and we have Hearts of Iron 4, which was released like 3-4 weeks ago. And it's the perfect World War II simulation. So if you like history, and especially World War II, it's probably the perfect game for you. And as I said, we also had the publishing part of the company. And the publishing part of the company, they don't only do strategy games, they do a lot of games. How many of you have heard of City Skylines? Like all of you? And we also own the brand Magica. We have published Pillars of Eternity, and we're currently doing a new game called Tyranny, which is coming this autumn. Looked like you had a question over there?
I just want to say, I actually work for Wizard Wars.
Nice. At the Paradox North?
Yeah.
So what is a project lead? There are probably a lot of different definitions. I read on Wikipedia yesterday that the formal definition was something like achieving a goal and trying to achieve a goal and clarifying, defining objectives. I think it has a lot to do with having the responsibility to achieve an objective with limited resources. Because you can never use as much budget as you want for a game or an expansion. Important words for a project lead is who, when, and what. Because without those words, you can't really achieve anything on time and on budget. And to get some perspective, project teams at Paradox consist of one project lead, one designer, 2 to 4 programmers, 1 to 3 content designers who write text for the games, 1 to 2 artists, 2 embedded QA, and different various roles in UI design and audio music, things that are split between the projects, that has no dedicated person in the project. So it's a lot of people to manage, and to the failures which can happen if you don't have a project lead or don't have a project lead who is really good. Missed deadlines, missed budget, inefficient communication, annoyance within the team or people getting annoyed at the team, outside the team, demotivation, people in the team don't think it's worth working efficiently, and why most projects fail in time budget. First, people don't realize the consequences of postponing the deadline. For example, it's really important with a small team and small company to get things out, because otherwise the money runs out, as most of you probably know already, and then if you can't pay the salaries for your people going forward, then you can't start on your next game, and you know, people start leaving the company. So it's especially important for small teams. Or people just don't care about the deadline. Maybe they know that EA will suffer if the project, if Battlefield doesn't get out in time, but they don't care about it because it doesn't affect themselves. Also, bad communication. It can be that the project lead and the people outside the project, that in the management in the company, they have communicated on different levels. So the management team, maybe they wanted something done at a time and it can't be postponed, but the project lead perceives it as a deadline that is quite loose and that it can be postponed easily. It can also be lack of credibility. So people have never achieved a deadline before. Why would they care about it now if it has never happened that something is done on deadline before? And it might also be because of lack of a strong project leader. Probably wants to add lots of features into the game at late stages of the game development. And what happens if features are added late? Well, the deadline must be postponed. Go wrong. First, the implementation. So, for example, if the programmer doesn't ask the designer what question marks like that he or she has, then it gets very problematic to implement something that you don't know stuff about. So the programmer will have to ask the designer. Delays of other tasks. Maybe the project lead hasn't prioritized the task in Jira, and then the programmer assumes it's the first thing he or she should do, but in fact, maybe it has no priority and should be done last. Next example. A person outside a team orders something from the team by asking a person directly in the team. So what can go wrong? A lot of things. But again, the implementation can be wrong because this artist, maybe who got the art task, didn't get to coordinate with others about this task and how it should be done. And there can be delays of other tasks because you think it's prioritized because one person approaches you directly, but in fact, it hasn't even got through the real process with the project lead who decides the priority, and then maybe it shouldn't even be done. The designer writes a design document for the upcoming expansions, and the project lead starts working on it and making a plan. What can go wrong here? The expansion is scrapped. Maybe the designer had this as a draft and never communicated to the project lead about that. The design is not finished and will be changed. It means double work. A non-designer has written things in this document that the project lead couldn't separate, and then it was never approved by the designer, and then it should not be implemented. In a retrospection meeting, that is a meeting where you go through stuff that you've done during the last couple of weeks and see how you can improve for the next couple of weeks. Then the project lead tells everyone to do a specific thing. But what's the problem with saying such? When everyone is responsible, no one is responsible. And maybe no one cares. Because if the project lead has never followed up on previous retrospection meetings, people don't care about the stuff that have been said there, unless you have, this super good team. So again, the important words for a project lead: who, when, and what. If you at the retrospection meeting have those words and always define who will do what and when, and not saying this person should do this always, but saying at this specific date, this person should have thought about this or made a plan about this and deliver something, then it usually works. How can a project lead increase efficiency in a game project? First, making everything crystal clear. You should decrease the number of Chinese whispers. When someone tells someone something and that person tells another person the same thing, and then in the end it's something completely different. And if you're good at communicating within the team and make a good communication flow, we can decrease these kind of things. So, for example, the person might say that this would be nice to have, and another person says to another person, this should be done, and well, in the end it's done, but it was just a nice to have feature in the beginning. The project lead should also be responsible for bringing up and managing decisions that have been made on different levels around the team. So if two persons in the team come up with something, come up with an idea that they start implementing, the project lead should make sure that the rest of the team also know about it. And also, if the publisher says something that's important, that the whole team knows, then absolutely, the project lead has to do something to bring this up. And also, relating to this is explaining why things are happening around within the project, so that people always feel in the loop. Clarify responsibility areas means that the project lead should make sure that people know what they should do and make sure that there is no double work. Of course, also listen to the communication needs of the team. Everyone will always want to know everything, and we've experienced that in meetings at Paradox too. But you have to identify what information needs are needed to make the daily work and to feel in the loop. And that's not all communication possible, all information possible. To increase efficiency, the project lead should also focus on the value for money. And that has to do with the prioritization. That's why the project lead should be responsible for this. Making sure that we make a product at the deadline, and we don't have, half of the project perfectly done and half of the projects not done at all. And the project lead should push people to think about the value for money, so that it gets natural into the team. It's often the perfectionists that make deadlines postpone, because people, and it's a great thing in itself that people want to make things really good. But however, everything cannot be perfect if we're going to release a product sometime. So you have to know where to get that limit, where to have your definition of done, and preferably before you start the project. Keep track on time spent versus value created. And this is about that the project lead should follow up on things that are happening, so that next time you are estimating a thing, you know much better than previously how long time it's going to take and how many resources is going to be needed for this. Actively forming a culture. So this should be a part of the project lead's responsibilities. He or she should define what the desired culture should be. Maybe it's not what it is right now, but that's why it should be defined, and see where we are going. Like, are people in the project very negative about the outcome of the project? Well, then you have to change something about how you behave and how you work. But that the PM has extra responsibility for this kind of thing doesn't mean that anyone else can do it. The more people taking responsibility for a good culture within the company, the better. Also, holding deadlines. Why? First, because the credibility is super important, which relates to what I talked about previously, that people should feel that there is credibility in the deadlines, so that they don't get demotivated by previous deadlines not getting help. And also to the publisher. And also, as I talked about too, the money stream, make sure you have money to survive for your upcoming games and to survive the lifetime of your current project. Because people need money to survive, maybe. And the motivation, it's important to have. to keep the deadlines so that it feels like a result is coming out of the project. Issues to deal with as a project lead. And this has a lot to do with people, strong wills, and strong opinions can be either publicly said or not said, and it's important to deal with both cases. Motivation, and managing demands and expectations up and down within the team. So, to the frameworks that I want to present to you. And I want them to be as food for thought for you. So, even if you don't have a project lead, I think this is very useful. And if you have one, it's really good if the project lead knows about these things. Because what I'm going to show you are like tools that you can use in your organization. So it's mostly to deal with people and communication issues, which is at the core of the project lead's responsibilities. So first, we have something called the DISC framework. How many of you have heard about this before? Okay, not that many. Great, because then I have something to tell you. This is a framework for personality types, and I love talking about this kind of thing. All of us at Paradox did this. The company sent us on different workshops with an external company to learn about this and test ourselves. And we got to know what personality type we are when we are at work. So we did a test and answered a lot of questions, like 20, 30 questions. We also got to know what other people were thinking about us in terms of exactly the same questions. And the DISC, it stands for, I think the actual words that it stands for sometimes is like dominance, influence, consensuousness, and stability. And I don't know if you can see the text around here. I think not, because it's grayed out for some reason. But it says, for D, it says results, and then action, enthusiasm, collaboration, support, stability, accuracy, challenge. And this relates to what the different personality types like to focus on. So, for example, the I person focus on or likes enthusiasm, but also collaboration and action. The stability person likes support, but also collaboration and stability. The consensuous person likes accuracy, but also stability and challenge. The dominant person likes results, but also action and challenge. So, but it's not over here, because I'm going to clarify a little bit what it is all about. Getting 4 examples to show this framework into different persons that you should know about. First, we have Donald Trump. He is clearly a D person. He likes to control people, and he's also charismatic, and well, he's extroverted and he is controlling. He wants to take decisions, and he likes to move quickly, to the next decision, and in whatever he wants to do. Then we have Oprah Winfrey, who is an I person. She likes to talk and is very optimistic, positive, optimistic, and talkative, likes to tell stories. We have the C person, Bill Gates, as a young person, unless it's like an imitation of Bill Gates when he was a young person. But he is detail-oriented, wants things accurately, and being objective with most things. And we also have Gandhi as the S person, which is, he is stable, he wants to prevent conflicts, he is calm as a person. So, and the upper 2 people here, they are the extroverted ones, and then the lower 2 are introverted. And the ones to the left are people who want to control, and the people who work right, they want to, well, they accept more than want to control. And it's good to know these types of personality types. This is not something that is, that is very rare. A lot of organizations use these kind of frameworks. They call it different things. There's also something called Myers-Briggs, but this type of framework uses the first and last letter of Myers-Briggs, if you have tried it out. It's good to know because those people, they like different things, they get motivations from different things. For example, the people at the top, they want to be in the center of attention, while the people below, they want to, they can be around and they don't have to be in the center of attention. What more to say about this? Well, you can read more about it at the internet, but it's really good. When we did the test, we got 2 letters, so one that was a primary and one that was a secondary letter, and then we got to read explanation of what it was and so. And you can get to know yourself better. Maybe you don't recognize yourself totally in the descriptions, but at least it's something because you did the test yourself, so it's your judgment that is the descriptions. Now I was a bit skeptical at first of those kind of tests, but I realized it's super good to know that people are different, and reading about different personality types than your own, it really opens your eyes. Another framework that is good is about motivation. It's about what makes people think what they do is something they want to do, value. So that what you do leads to an end result somehow. So these 3 things are really good to know if you want to know how people get motivated. Because I guess that in small organization, it's easy that the motivation goes rather up and down all the time. So it's good to keep this in the back of your head. We also have the 3rd framework here, last but not least, the SMART goals. And I think most project leads love this. I don't use it as explicitly in my teams, but I keep it in the back of my head that I always want these pillars or action points that you get at retrospections meetings, for example. So it means that all the goals that you set up, for them to be implemented, you should always make them specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Because if it's not time-based, will it ever happen? The person is probably gonna put it at the bottom of his or her to-do list, and maybe it will never happen then. If it's not relevant, you don't really have the motivation to do it. Maybe you think someone else should do it. Attainable, if you don't think it's possible to do it, then why even have it there on your to-do list? And measurable. And that's important because then it can be followed up. Then someone can say yes or no that you have achieved this in the time frame. And specific, so that the person who gets the goal has the knowledge of what he or she should do. Not just general stuff, because it's really hard to achieve those goals. And this is a really established framework too, that lots of organizations use, and why not use it in your companies too? Getting to project leading and paradox. How is that? We have responsibility for delivering on time, budget, and keeping up the team spirit. And keeping up the team spirit, it means also that making the team attractive for people around the organization to work in. So people should want to work in CQ2 and EU4, I hope. And the tools, responsibilities, you have to get tools, because otherwise you can't achieve anything. We have the current team of the people that I mentioned at the start of the presentation. You can request new people, but it will It will use your budget, of course, getting new people and more man-months. We use different work methodologies. I want my teams to work more agile than ever. So I really try to implement different Scrum methodology stuff, but not completely, and I'm going to talk about that later as well. Other project leads, we meet once every other week to discuss our problems and try to solve issues on a higher level so that all projects can get better. And also management is trying to help us. If we get into bigger troubles, that should be solved on a higher level. And of course Jira, our bugs and tasks database, which we use daily, and everyone in our teams use it every day. So it's really our core tool that we use on the computer. And as a project lead at Paradox, you have a lot of freedom, which is good for the motivation, of course. Result is what matters, no matter how it's done. And you also have a wide ownership, so if there are tasks that don't seem to belong to any other profession, then you as project lead should take care of them. You should make sure that nothing falls below the chairs, below the cracks. And how do we adapt Scrum at Paradox? Do you know Scrum, by the way? Can you raise your hands if you yes, okay, all of you know Scrum. Okay, then I don't have to mention anything about that, I think. It's a project methodology in software development, or probably other types of developments as well. So in Scrum, generally, so I try to summarize a few things that are used in Scrum usually in a normal software development company. But for us, and especially game development, it's not that easy to just take the framework and use it per definition, because it's not made for game development. And so in Scrum, everyone can work on every task. But we in game development are full of different disciplines: art and programmers, testers, content designers. So when we are time estimating, we estimate in each discipline instead of trying to get one, because in Scrum you often try to get one estimate for each whole task for all the disciplines, but in my teams we divide the tasks and divide the estimates. And the estimates should also be seen as a guarantee for the time frame where it should be made. And if it's done before, it's awesome, but the guarantee is, unless we make it within those time frames, we won't be able to make it to deadline. So it's super important that people follow those and that people learn along the way how they should estimate, so that we can always get those good estimates. There is also a lot of meetings and some very long meetings in the normal Scrum method. But what we do is to try to minimize the time spent on meetings by finishing as soon as we feel finished, try to be efficient during the meeting, and allocating less time than you usually do in a Scrum. So I've heard of Scrum sprint reviews that are like 4 hours. We have a sprint review in 1 hour, because that's enough for us. In Scrum, you also work towards constant releases and a constant backlog with the highest value for money there. And of course, value for money is important, but there are also other things that are important in game development. For us making expansions, we have to make sure that the expansions are coherent, that they have a theme, that things that are in the expansions relate to. So we cannot just do value for money in different areas. We also have to make sure that blockers for other disciplines are quickly finished, and so that others can move on and finish their stuff. Plus, we take into account how much time it takes to test the different features and how risky they are. So that's how I prioritize. you have a product owner and a Scrum Master, usually in Scrum. That's kind of the base of the Scrum methodology. What we do is that we're having what we call game director, who is probably a bit like the product owner, but he is holding the vision and ordering design, whereas the project lead is not only Scrum Master, but also responsible for the time and money. Because we don't want everyone to be responsible for something, because someone should feel the responsibility for this. And planning an EU4 and CK2 is specifically like this. The prioritization, it depends on the time taken to implement, the riskiness, and time to test. And I really try to make the teams part of the planning. So they are part of doing the actual estimates. We are using Scrum cards. Have you seen it? Anyone? Scrum cards? Yeah, some of you? So that's where you have cards which says different estimates, and then you turn them at the same time so that you don't get biased from other people's estimates when estimating. We also go through a brief before every sprint starts, go through the design and why we're doing it and what the vision is. We like to come up with a sprint name just to make the sprint feel a bit coherent as well and try to make it coherent. We are coordinating as much as possible before the sprint starts. So anyone knowing problems should bring them up before the expansion starts so that we can try to manage or make a plan for how to manage different risks in the project. And we also have daily morning meetings, which those teams didn't have before, which means that we are bringing up any issues and what we're working on every day. And if I hear anything in the brand meetings, which is like the publishing part of the company, then I will bring it up during the morning meeting to say when release is set or some new dates announcement, for example. And we also have retrospections where we go through what has been bad and good during the last couple of weeks in the sprint. And the purpose of this meeting is to get a couple of action points that we can act upon the next couple of weeks. We have sprint reviews where everyone in the studio is invited to those reviews to see what we have done and to give comments on the features. It's also the perfect way to get the whole team to get to know what's been actually done, because it's not always that one artist knows, some features that only a programmer has been working on. And also lifting things that can be missing in the design. So making sure that everything that should have been done in the sprint are there. And if not, we have some polish and fix weeks at the end of the development. So, white text on the white picture, not the best. Organized team buildings is something I highly recommend. So here comes a few advices that are pretty easy to get to your teams. And it's first organized team buildings. It gets your team happy, and the people probably get to know each other better and work better together in the long run. Give each other feedback regularly in the team, so that you make sure that you develop all the time and get better, because usually you have a lot of feedback to your team members. Just make sure it comes out there so that they can do something about it. And it doesn't have to be something bad. It can definitely be good stuff. And that's really important so that people get motivated and feel that they have competence in your areas. Celebrate your successes. Historically, we haven't been that good at Paradox celebrating our successes, but I think we're starting to get somewhere now. We have done it the last year quite often, and we celebrate with cake and like bring good stuff up. Things that are important for our company, for example, meeting a certain deadline, are things that we celebrate, but also meeting sales numbers like Stellaris and a great celebration. And here is cake from City Skylines. And define your success. So this is our CEO. So now we know what he measures as success in our games. And whether it is Metacritic or something else, it's important to just know what you want with your game. Last but not least, my biggest advice is communicate even better. I think all teams can win from this, especially in the games industry.